how are we protecting this information from the top-down approach? Remember, we talked about that earlier, senior leadership, and it really comes down to, in my summation here at a super high level, the umbrella is at the top. And so this might be like a 5-year plan, like the vision. This, the security management component might be, the tactical, which is like a 1-year plan. And then the actual implementation might actually be like on a monthly basis or quarterly. And so the governance would be more of the strategic, which way are we moving? The management component might be like managing the project and more tactical, breaking the 5 years into smaller parts. And then maybe you're scrumming it out with agile development on a month-to-month basis, going through an implementation or threat hunting or patching or maintenance, whatever you're doing. And it kind of looks like this right here. And so for the organizational plans, you can kind of see that, it moves up the food chain after you've gone through and kind of given a vision. How do we have that referential integrity to be able to take what leadership is telling us, put together the plan, and then execute the plan? And so it comes down to a bunch of different things, but I like this diagram, and that's one of the reasons why I included it here. Who's doing the work? What are the goal-centric work that they're doing? And then does it align to the vision of the company in the long term? So it's important that we take a look at if we are involved in that, and again, practicing good cyber hygiene in security and risk management, knowing enough to talk intelligently. And I think that that's really the premise of the CISSP is 10 miles wide and an inch deep. You know enough that you can talk about it, but then it really becomes what cranks your tractor within this 8 domains to really apply your expertise to something that you really want to work on. And so we come into these two different things: business strategy and security functionality, and we lean on some things that are important within the organization. And we'll define these here in a little bit, but standards, baselines, guidelines, and procedures. Many of you are knee deep in the bowels of this right here, security policy. We have, my company, we have a bunch of different businesses that we help out, and we've developed templates for all the different families of control policies, all the different families of control procedures. We have a tool that's called the EMAS simulator that automates a bunch of that and then uploads it to EMAS. So being able to come up with different ways that align with the vision and that strategic plan for the organization really is important whenever we're making sure that we're going in the right direction. And so to do that, one of the things that we might need to do is figure out a way that's meaningful to be able to implement this. And so for purposes of your exam, there's going to be probably 5 questions on change management. To me, this is one of the most critical components within an organization, is to make sure that you have the change management. Typically, we put into place this CAB board or CAB board. Change management is more about since I've been in this business, this is one of the biggest vulnerabilities that we see, and typically you'll see it labeled like this right here: misconfiguration. So like there's threats and vulnerabilities. Somebody will go in and implement something, or they won't implement something. If they implement it without the proper approvals, And let's say that somebody did it last night, and then we come in first thing this morning, and we have no idea what the hell happened, but everything is not working now. That's a big deal. One of the examples that I'll give is we have a customer that was making updates to their website. We weren't responsible for their website. And so what they did is they hired another contractor to come in and update their website to a real slick looking website. And so we didn't know anything about it. And so Wednesday we went home, we woke up Thursday morning, and we got notification, the priority 1 ticket, that their email was down. And so after us, doing some research for probably 2 or 3 hours, we found out that somebody had updated the website and they didn't put in a ticket, and somebody actually changed DNS records. And so it took us a few hours to figure that out, like contacting the right people within the organization. But then the DNS record change ended up messing up a whole bunch of other things. And so that was a big deal. Another incident that I can tell you about is recently with another one of our customers. This particular customer has 3 locations, and one of the locations we got a report that their internet was down. And so, we can remotely peek into the networks, and when we did that, we saw that it looked like the internet was down. So then we went on site, and after about 45 minutes to an hour in getting the internet service provider on the phone, we figured out that the bill had not been paid for that client. And so just silly things that can have huge ramifications, especially when you're providing services to somebody and not being able to take people's payments because your internet is down, or if you're a service-oriented business where people schedule appointments with you. That's super important to make sure that you implement change management and that each change is documented and approved, not only for audit trails, but also giving you a chance to make sure that you're trying to thwart any potential risks that are introduced and keep the availability up and running as best as possible. So a couple other key terms here, and then I'll throw you a few more questions and just see if you guys can help me out. Within the organization, understanding that your data is one of the most valuable assets that you have, well, then we have to find out what kind of data it is. And we start to classify it in a way that's meaningful for us by categories. What is the secrecy of it? Is it sensitive data? Do I need to put specific types of security controls around it? And by looking at that, or just opening up the hood on that, immediately you get into what the commercial side of the house looks like, and then what the government looks like. So let's enumerate those quickly. So on the commercial side of the house, you have things that you publish to everybody. Then you have sensitive information, which could result in a negative impact to an organization. You have private information that would have significant negative impacts to your organization. And then confidential or proprietary, it would result in significant negative impact to your organization. So think about that here. If I was to give you, let me just say that, what would we want to do with the recipe for the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich? Or you know what? What about the Coca-Cola recipe, right, out of Atlanta? Why would that be important? Would we just want to put that into public and give it out? So why would we think that that is proprietary, confidential, as opposed to sensitive and private? And so if you just kind of look at the definition here, significant impact. Why? Yeah, it would ruin the business. Other companies would use it and they would lose money. Heck yeah. If it got out, somebody could make an exact copy and undersell it. Yep. How often do we see that? I mean, think about Xerox back in the day with the mouse, like actually inventing the mouse. And then, Apple took the mouse from Xerox and put it into, their operating system. Or I'm sorry, what did Microsoft do? They went and created the the competitor. So what is intellectual property? What is something that is a positive discriminator for your organization that sets you apart from the rest? And if you can identify that, then you should probably be able to figure out what is proprietary and confidential, and then kind of move down the food chain from there. Sometimes it can be kind of tough to figure that out, like what does that look like? But at a high level, that would be how we would do that. And who does that within the organization? Well, people like us do that. Senior professionals, the users can help to shape that. Maybe an auditor comes in and says, hey, you're out of compliance with this, that, and the other thing. You need to do this a little bit differently. In addition to that, usually senior leadership has a say, but the data owner is the person who is responsible for the data classification. And so when we talk about these roles within the organization and what the responsibilities, I'm going to give you a stone cold Steve Austin 100% chance of what's going to be on your exam. 100% chance data owner will be on your exam. And that is the person within your organization who is responsible for the data classification. And that data owner, what they do is they're more postulating, hypothetical. What they do is they kick the can down the road and they delegate it to this person that's called the data custodian. And so out of things that we've talked about so far, I'm going to give you a lock on two things that you're going to see. Now, these two things may show up in one question, but if we're kind of piecemealing together the 100 questions for the exam, this is definitely going to be one of them. Like the roles within security, what do those look like? The data owner is the person that is ultimately responsible for the data. They classify the information, but they also delegate it to the actual custodian. So I think about the custodian being like, me at my house going around with my little my dustpan and my broom, or we recently got a Dyson vacuum. I try to tidy up as much as I possibly can, but essentially the person that's doing the actual work. And so the data owner will be the one that classifies it, and then they tell the data custodians, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. So the data custodian is typically the one that actually will do the work. And so at a high level, know these because you will see them on your exam.